with a cracker.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the United Star. Today we've got a full house. We've got Priyan and Rishi, our very own Priyan and Rishi, and we've got Abhishek Iyer from the Manchester United Supporters Club Mumbai and Football Pundits. Today we're going to discuss every United fan's second favorite topic after Jadon Sancho in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and how he's done as permanent manager this season. So let's get straight into it, Abby. What do you make of Ole, especially since he's taken over this season as permanent manager for his first full season? From Jose Mourinho to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, what are the key takeaways for you this season?
Hey guys, so good to be back on the United Star. It's been a great season for us, and we can now look back and talk very optimistically and positively about our manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But I think the day he came in, and when we beat Cardiff with 5 goals, first up, I think you could instantly see the impact that he had. Right, there was a mentality shift in the squad. I think the mentality of this side had reached its nadir and was in the doldrums under Jose Mourinho, and you could suddenly see an uplifted team actually putting in those extra yards on the pitch, making that extra run. So I think that was very good to see. Coming to more tactical sort of advances that he's done, I think he has a far more aggressive style to Jose Mourinho. Jose was never known to have a very aggressive football style, whereas Ole Gunnar Solskjaer likes the press. He likes to play a high block. He likes his wing backs to attack. So I think broadly we're looking at, I don't want to curse it, but we're looking at a more Sir Alex Ferguson style of football. And he is from the Alex Ferguson school of management after all, right? And I think that's what we're getting to see fundamentally as the difference between Jose Mourinho and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And Rishi, coming to you, I just want to touch up a bit upon how the mentality of the club sort of has changed. Obviously, as Abhishek said, from defensive to offensive, but there's also some sort of a happy environment around the team. And even as fans, we actually look forward to games rather than being like, oh shit, we're playing another, and this weekend's going to go badly again for us.
I think the best example for this, Prasham, is how he's coached Martial. I think more coaching him on his finishing abilities, he's coached him on his mentality and his attitude towards the team. And we've definitely seen that after lockdown. The way he attacks the ball in the box now, he's not scared to take on players anymore. He's all in the game. And so many times on the Prasham, you and me have said, give the ball to Martial. He's trying to those runs, find him. And I think that's the best example of that mentality shift that Abhi's talking about as well, where players are just feeling more like they belong to this team, and that, yes, the work that they will put in will lead to some, good rewards in the future. And definitely you can see that mentality change in Pogba as well. I know we used to slander him a lot under Mourinho because of the whole Mourinho versus Pogba thing, but it's after lockdown with all the speculation regarding Raolia, I forgot his name, sorry, and everyone else. I think the way he just came back, lockdown position, played alongside Bruno and Tich, I think the best evidence of that mentality shift that we're talking about.
Yeah, right. I absolutely agree, Rishi. But Priyan, it's not just the fact that he's got Martial to play so well or Pogba is looking freer, but it's also the fact that he got rid of so many of the players that we didn't want at United. So how do you think that he's managed this? Because at times it almost feels like he gives these players a long enough rope to hang themselves, and then he's like, okay, chalo, bye bye.
And I think that's what we needed. We needed sort of bold decisions to someone to come in and make these bold decisions. So you see Smalling, you would never have expected him to leave. He'd been in the club for so long, and he was sent out. Lukaku, you could say that he played particularly not that well, but he wasn't someone I would think of selling off. And he came and he sold him off because he felt that he didn't fit into his playing style. So these are some very bold decisions he's made, and it's impacted. I think just adding to what Abhishek said earlier, that Jose Mourinho had sort of like the mentality was horrible that time. So all Ole had to do was come in and not perform as badly as the Jose. But he didn't stop at that. Not only did he perform better, but he sort of made sure that he improves the team even more. So that's what he set his bar higher. So he's been a positive influence on the team.
Right. Absolutely. Let's move a little bit more into the tangible factors, which is the tactics and the way Ole is setting teams out. Abby, you've already said that there is a higher block. We're not playing the low block more. The fullbacks are a lot more involved. But I also want to touch upon something that pre-lockdown we were finding it hard to break teams down. So is that something that you think Ole has completely moved on from, or do you think it yet exists to some extent in the team?
It still exists. I don't think there's any running away from that because if you just look at the last 5 games that we've played, right, we've actually struggled to score. Look at the Sevilla game. Look at 1-1 at West Ham, 3-1 against Chelsea. We're not even Copenhagen, right? We're not flying off the way we did initially. I think teams have also sort of started to find them out. Of course, player fatigue makes a big difference, and it's been a really long and drawn out season. But I'll still tell you that Ollie's tactics are spot on. I think it's the personnel that needs to improve. So I won't blame him yet. I think with another summer transfer, if he gets the backing, coming to the high block, low block, and what's really changed. What I really like about Ollie is he essentially plays a 4-4-2, but it's so fluid that we now call it a 4-2-3-1. There are times when we are especially chasing the game, when he plays the counter, it's a traditional 4-4-2 where the guy on the left almost comes into the center and Matic almost doubles up as the or triples up as the third center back. So what I love about Ollie's system, you'll never see this kind of fluidity under any other manager in the Premier League. Even Pep Guardiola doesn't allow his teams to set up like this, right? They're very rigid. They'll either play the 4-1-2-1-2 or the 4-5-1 or the 3-5-2. Coming to the 3-5-2, I think if there was one thing that I'd pick Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out tactically, I think the 3-5-2 flatter to deceive. It worked for a couple of games initially when he came in. I don't think that tactic has anything to do with the personnel. I just don't think it fits into his philosophy of football. He tried to force it. It was a formation that we saw him use away from home, which I was never a fan of because a 3-5-2 also fundamentally says that, you know what, I'm setting up to defend. And I don't think Ole's ethos is to fundamentally defend, right? So maybe that's the only thing that I'd pick him out for, but I think he's learned his lesson very, very quickly. I don't think we've seen a 3-5-2 episode.
Right. Absolutely. I completely agree. And I think there is some variability in play as well, where he's able to, play on the counter against the big teams, or he's being able to, especially after Bruno has come in, we've seen that, we are able to break the smaller teams down. But Rishi, coming to you, I just think that at some level, do you think that Ollie lacks a plan B or a plan C at times when we go down or when we're not able to get that first goal? Or
Yeah,
is it just
Prashant,
down to
just
the
going to
subs?
get to that. Yeah, Prashant, you said it rightly. We don't have a plan B. That being said, what Ole has done this season is he's got a groove in our team. We spoke about this in our previous videos about how United was struggling to find the goal, as in the goal used to just come randomly and there was no set play. But Ole has now set a groove into the team, and we can predict where the next goal is going to come from and how it's going to come. The interplay between Bruno and Martial is amazing. Rashford cutting in. When the ball goes out to Greenwood, it's very difficult to predict which side he's going to turn next. And if he turns to his left, he can either play a 1-2 with Martial, or he can shoot with his left foot because he's so good with both his feet. So that being said, again, we don't have a plan B, and that's a big problem. Now we can blame it down to personnel, whatever we want, but we did buy Igalo simply for that reason, to have a plan B. And if we see the game against Sevilla, it was that plan B what we needed, route one football, punt it straight up to your target man and expect him to bring it down and hold the ball while your midfielders and your wingers move forward. And trust me, Prasham, this we've been talking about a lot, and this has never happened under Ole. We never tried route one, and yeah, you can talk about how under Mourinho we had Fellaini, so it was much easier. But that's the point. Ole needs to realize that we're lacking diversity in players, and I'm talking about diversity in players and diversity in tactics. We are lacking that route one punt the ball type of
I,
football.
I, I kind of agree. I mean, I also have to take Abhishek's point, which he has made a lot of times to me, especially that the personnel is not there on the bench. But I yet think that, other managers like, so say, for example, Sir Alex Ferguson, he was not scared to bring Welbeck on if Wayne Rooney was not having a good game or if Wayne Rooney was absolutely useless. So I think that in that sense, maybe he can train the players a bit more off the pitch. But also I feel that Rishi is right in the fact that he's unleashed the likes of Greenwood, Rashford, Martial, and Bruno has just come in. So maybe it's going to take longer to develop more strategies, and he needs a little more time to do that. So that also is one part of it. And the second part of it is, of course, that Ed Woodward is an absolutely useless chairman to have, and he's not signed anyone yet, but that's another debate. Priyan, coming to you, how do you rate Oli's personal management, individual player management? Because I think that's a little mixed bag as well, but how do you rate it?
I think I would rate it quite highly. I think we discussed it before. Paul Pogba has gone from probably leaving the club to, according to me, definitely staying on for a while now. He's changed Martial's season. Martial has gone from a maybe winger, maybe striker to a proper number 9. Rashford too. I mean, what a brilliant season. Then Greenwood. I mean, who would have thought an 18-year-old would have come into the scene and become a first team starter? 18, 17 goals, I think, first season. So I think Luke Shaw, as we said earlier. So I think man management has been very good. I think some places he's trusted a few players way more than he should have. But I think like Pereira maybe at the start of the season. But then again that comes down to lack of personnel, I think.
Right.
So I would rate it quite highly though.
So why I said it was a mixed bag, while I completely agree with you, I want to point out to a couple of instances. Firstly, bringing Marcus Rashford on with that injury against Wolves in that match, I think that was a big mistake on his part, and I hope he's learned from that. The second thing is that you mentioned Pereira, but I also want to mention the refusal to play Mason Greenwood when Rashford was clearly the only player who was trying to do something in the start of the season, when Martial was injured, when Pogba, when the attacking options were limited. So those two instances come particularly to mind. And the third thing that I also want to ask you, Abby, is this question's to you. That the third thing is that, do you think he overtrusts people, or again, like, it's just that there is no one else?
Over trust might be a bit too strong. I get the tangent you're coming at, and I think, but you need to do that, no? When you go out there and promote youth, right? Especially, and that's been Oli's mantra ever since he's come in. I'm going to promote youth, and it was interesting to see Ashley Young talk about it while at Inter, saying that, you know what, Oli came to me and said you'll be third choice. You know, he was the captain of Man United. So if you're going to put that kind of trust in your youth, you need to back them. And unfortunately, to back youth literally means even when they have a shit game, play them again. Keep playing them. He did that with Andres Pereira. I think we lost patience by the end of it, but there were many instances when I was left scratching my head thinking, why is this guy still on the team sheet? But still, we'd have that little bit inside of, you know, this might just be Pereira's game. This might just be his tipping point, right? I think it's important to do that. And Oli's taken a gamble and done it. And to be fair to Jose, he even came out and said that, look, when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came to this club, his objectives were different. He was given 5 years. He was told, you know what, blood 6 youngsters, bring 3 of them into the first team, get one of them to score 20 goals, and your job is safe. Jose said that wasn't my KRA. My KRA was I need to win the Premier League, I need to win the Champions League, I need to have a strong FA Cup finish. So, you know, it depends. And I think Oli's been given a free hand to promote the youth, and therefore he's gone ahead and backed them. Jose would have never done that because he was never allowed to do that. So
Absolutely. I think this speaks to what I was saying before. I think he gives the players enough rope to either prove themselves, or you either hang yourself and you're no more a United player. I think that's something that's right out of Sir Alex's book as well. I think he did that with.
Sorry to interrupt you, Prashant, but it just comes to mind right now. Look at what he's doing with Diogo Dalot right now, who, according to me, hasn't done much wrong. Now, if something has happened behind the scenes, too bad. But since the restart, he's barely gotten minutes, and for him to be frozen out like this, I wouldn't say this is good man management. And Dalot is 21. He's a good player. He's potential. So it remains to be seen what he really does. I just feel he's gotten lucky that, you know, Mason Greenwood has clicked, Brandon Williams has clicked. You know, he's gotten lucky, but it remains to be seen, you know, what he really, really can do with this side.
Even Romero probably.
Yeah, I was
Romero
just going to
also
come to
last
that
game
in
of the
fact,
season.
Rian. I was just going to come to that why I say it's a mixed bag is because I don't want to forget the fact that he jeopardized Rashford's career. I don't want to forget the fact that he didn't start Greenwood at all in the beginning, and the fact that Dalot has been freezed out, and Romero, who I feel, I know that Abby has different views on this, but I feel that we should have given him that cup run because he's a good enough keeper and he's there for a reason. If we lose Romero and the form that De Gea is in, and we don't get a backup goalkeeper, it might be problematic for us. But so that's one of the aspects that maybe Ole needs to work on. We've already said that he needs to work on his sort of second tactics or plan B and plan C. Rishi, is there anything that comes to your mind that he needs to work on going forward in the next season?
Prasham, I'm going to have to agree and disagree with both you and Abhi on these few points. I think Ole has handled Greenwood perfectly. I think he has kept him out of the limelight. He has kept him away from the press. He's only put him on in games which he knew he won't feel the pressure. I mean, compare it to Rashford. Rashford was also thrust into the scene, when we really needed him a lot. But if you see the performances after those first few miracle weeks that he had a huge slump. And if you see, he's still facing that pressure today. Whereas if you compare Greenwood, Ole waited, gave him the right opportunity, and when he knew Greenwood was ready to start the games and feel the pressure, he put him on, which was generally after lockdown. So I think Ole has handled Greenwood perfectly. If you see Greenwood's mentality also, he doesn't look like he's been feeling the pressure. He never looked like he needed the next goal to get back into the groove. And not only that, but he didn't even have those moments on social media like how Jesse Lingard and all have, where he gets a lot of abuses hold at him or whatever for not performing and all. So I think Ole has handled Greenwood absolutely perfect. Now coming to Abhi's point about youth's performance, I think this is where Ole could have done better, because let's face it, our bench was dry. There was no depth whatsoever. And if the youth is not going to get opportunities when our bench is absolutely dead, then I don't know when the youth will get the opportunity. And yeah, we can argue, how maybe Gomez and Tahith Chong aren't up to the mark, but we have to give them the opportunity, especially when our bench is filled with players like Lingard and Andres Pereira. If we go back to the quarterfinal second leg, that game needs to be played only by the youth and no one else. And I also feel like he could have given more opportunities to players like Garner and stuff. But that being said, I think his man management of the youth has been absolutely amazing. He's kept them out of the line of fire, and he's absolutely made sure that they feel no pressure and that they evolve into the team, which is now definitely going to be built around them.
Right, right. So that's interesting. That's an interesting. I kind of disagree. I think Mason could have gotten his opportunity much before, but that's again for another time. What's interesting, guys, is also, let's put some context to this. All four of us at some point in this season were Ole out at some point, and right now all four of us are converts, and none of us think that Ole deserves to be sacked. So obviously he's done a lot of right things, and we're headed in the right direction. This is not to say that he has sort of, we are not like the Chelsea fans or the British press that are going to come out and say that Frank Lampard is this tactical genius and he can do no wrong. We recognize that, Ole has a long way to learn as well as the players do. Both of them are quite young, and we hope that the next season is a step in the right direction, and a much bigger step than we've taken this season. So I think this has been a very balanced view of Ole and how he's done this season and where we're headed. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for coming on, Abby. And do check out Manchester United Supporters Club Mumbai and Football Pundits. They're doing some great works. MUSCM, Manchester United Supporters Club, is also open for memberships right now. So do check that out and become a part of this United family. Thanks, Priyan and Rishi, for coming along, and subscribe to the channel, and see you all soon, guys.